There you are. State Representative Jim Struzzi, the chairman of the House Appropriations Committee, joins us this morning, presented by Marcus & Mack, voted best law firm and best personal injury lawyer 3 years in a row in the Best of Indiana County contest. Visit them online at marcusandmack.com. So today is the final day of 3 weeks of budget hearings in Harrisburg. I sort of picture, Jim, what it was like for you guys on the first day, and here you are finally dragging yourselves across the line on the last day of these hearings. You must be exhausted.
It's been quite a journey, Todd. 3 weeks of budget hearings, 4 days a week. We've gone through just about every State Department that there is, the row offices. We finish up today with the Auditor General, and then the last hearing this afternoon, aptly, is with the Budget Secretary.
Well, the interesting thing about it is that, we consider the questions, and they're hard questions that you have to ask of these agency representatives. It's difficult on them, too, because they have to justify what the governor's requests are and what their department requests are. And then you have to determine, well, okay, what is an appropriate expense for this business or this agency? And what is stuff that we probably could trim a little bit? And it's probably a very fine line, isn't it?
Well, it certainly is, and that's why we go through the rigors of 3 weeks of budget hearings, because we do need to drill down into the numbers, find out, where we do need increases, where they can be justified based on need, or where, in other cases, it may just be a new program that it really doesn't need to be funded, that's not been effective, or in some cases, programs that have been out there for some time that are no longer effective, that we're still funding. So the process itself works out pretty well. We do learn a lot. We do ask a lot of hard questions, but that's what we're here for, because the governor is proposing, as many know, a $51.5 billion budget for Pennsylvania, a spending plan that increases expenditures by $3.5 billion at a time when revenues are only expected to grow by about $1.5 to $1.6 billion. So there's a math equation there that doesn't work, and that's what we're trying to solve.
Well, those tough questions included for the state system of higher education earlier in the process. And it was interesting to me, your line of questioning with Chancellor Fiorentino. One of the things that you asked him was about something that everybody driving past the IUP campus certainly notices, a bunch of wrecked buildings. They're down on the ground and getting cleaned up. IUP has really redesigned the campus with new buildings over the last 15 or 20 years, but now taking the old buildings out. And the question that you asked had to do with, is that really economically necessary, number one, and what are the savings that they hope to realize out of that? What did you think of the answer?
Well, I think in the long run they will realize some savings. I don't know that they really had a good answer for me. I understand the cost of maintaining buildings, and we're seeing this in a lot of cases around the Commonwealth. We had the Department of Corrections in before us last week, and they're doing the same thing with the consideration of closing prisons, but at the same time, prisons that they have closed are still standing, particularly the one down in Westmoreland County. So I hope it's the right decision to remove the old buildings and make way for either new structures or green spaces or parking spaces that we have seen on the IUP campus or other development. In some cases, you can put these parcels back on the tax rolls and give them to the local community. So I think there's a lot of options, but really I think it's wise in the long run to right-size the state system based on student populations. As you know, and as many of us know, in Indiana County, the population has decreased significantly, and because of our demographics here in the Commonwealth, it's not really expected to increase again anytime soon. So I do think that those kind of decisions in the long run will be fruitful.
Yeah. Of course, a part of that whole IUP equation is the College of Osteopathic Medicine, which is proposed right now, but seems to be on track. And the state makes a substantial investment in something like that because you can see right away what the benefits will be, not only economically and for the campus itself and for the university, but for the entire region in terms of the product they'll turn out.
And rural health care is such a big issue. We've had multiple discussions and multiple hearings with the Department of Health, Department of Human Services, talking about the needs for rural health. There is some funding in the budget for rural health care, rural hospitals, and the School of Osteopathic Medicine plays a key role in that because we are hopeful that once the school is up and running, and it has a lot of support, a tremendous amount of support here in Harrisburg, and across the Commonwealth because the need is there. And we hope that once it's up and running and through the partnership and the residency program with IRMC, that we'll see more doctors in the rural areas to address those really serious rural healthcare needs.
Absolutely. All right. So what else has stood out from you or for you about these appropriations hearings? It's a lot of folks who have come before the panel, and you've examined them all. So are there things that just popped right out at you?
Well, I think in just about every case with just about every department, there are increases, in some cases significant increases. And what's really alarming to me is because of the Medicaid expenses, we are already down $1.6 billion in the Department of Human Services. And that's a bill that we have to pay because the rates, essentially they set the rates on the calendar year, not on the fiscal year. So the rates that they set last year for Medicaid were lower than they anticipated. So they're already down $1.6 billion. So we have to fund that $1.6 billion. And that is a very real concern because, as I said earlier, we only expect revenues to increase by about that much. So on top of that, there's all this other spending that the administration is proposing. And to me, that's, again, where the fundamental math problem comes in because that is not balancing a budget. If you're spending more than you have, you're not balancing the budget. So that's what we have to wrestle with. And that's really, I think, one of the main themes that came out of these budget hearings is we're spending more than we have, and we have to find a way to rein that in, but also, as I said, meet those fundamental obligations to our communities.
So if you are tacking on here, does that automatically mean you're slopping off something else somewhere else?
Well, that's the hard questions that have to be asked, because during the negotiation process, we'll explore all of those options. But again, the new spending, the new programs, they sound good, but we can't afford them. And then that's where I think you have to look at your checkbook like you have utility costs that you have to pay or they're going to turn the lights off. And we can't allow that to happen. And that's sort of what we're looking at here on a much grander scale.
Yeah. All right. Let's move to another topic this morning as we consider what's going on in Harrisburg right now. Governor Shapiro with some energy initiatives and energy ideas. Of course, we have our own idea of what energy should look like in Pennsylvania. Here in Indiana County, it's much different from the governor's. His latest proposals, what do you think?
Well, I think there's really a disconnect between the administration and what's really happening in the energy industry. I've met with a lot of professionals from around the globe, really, that want to locate here in Pennsylvania because of our abundant natural resources, particularly natural gas. But they're hesitant because they see policy like the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative and the governor's own PRESS and PACER programs, which are essentially regied by a different name. And then, that uncertainty of those regulations, the fear of coming in here, investing billions of dollars in this Commonwealth, only to turn around and be taxed, dissuades them from wanting to come here. So I think the best thing we could do is to get rid of those bad policies, open the door to these companies that want to come in here and grow our economy, bring jobs back to Pennsylvania. And that really concerns me that the governor continues to go down this path, knowing that it is essentially a blockade preventing those industries from growing and prospering here.
His whole different perspective, though, do you see a way, not around it, but to address it and to get him to get on board with it?
I think that's going to be a major part of our budget discussions with the administration. As those of us in Indiana County know very well, it can be done and still meet the clean air needs, which we've done in the past, for the environmental concerns. So I think you can have energy production and address the environmental concerns simultaneously while allowing those industries, again, to thrive and prosper. And I think, and it's interesting to me because I get more of a statewide perspective here, especially being on appropriations and talking to my colleagues from around the state. A lot of them really don't understand energy production. And if you're from a different part of the state other than Western PA, when you tell them, we're seeing jobs go to Ohio and West Virginia, and we're seeing, billions of dollars in investment not coming to PA, they don't understand it because they don't understand energy production and what it takes and what it needs to be prosperous. Yeah.
All right. We had the item over the weekend in our news stemming from an article in the Post-Gazette about a geothermal project that is being undertaken in Marchand in northern Indiana County. And Penn State just had that symposium on geothermal energy. Do you see that as being a part of Pennsylvania's energy picture? It sort of seems promising.
It absolutely does. Yes, we had the opportunity to meet with the folks doing that work or proposing that work a while back, Senator Pittman and myself, and I think it's exciting. As we heard again throughout these budget hearings, Todd, it has to be in all of the above. We need all forms of energy to make sure we're meeting the energy demands, and those are really going to increase significantly, particularly with the proposed data centers and other things for this Commonwealth. So I think we need to be prepared for those industries. We want to make sure our doors open, and we want to make sure we have enough energy to meet those needs.
Yeah, and with Indiana County and its history of energy production, certainly we would want to be right there in the center of something like that. If we could somehow make a facility that was taking advantage of our geothermal possibilities, that would be a real advantage.
Absolutely. I think it's exciting.
All right. So you're going to have these hearings, the last day of the hearings today. Who do you have coming before you? The governor's office,
we have
right?
The Auditor General, and then we wrap up with what should be the exclamation point in all the hearings, the Budget Secretary.
Yeah. And, boy, that's going to be an interesting hearing
yes.
To
and if I could throw a couple of plugs out there real quick, Todd, we're going to have the Secretary of Agriculture, Russell Redding, in for a farmer's breakfast on April 4th at the Brush Valley Fire Hall. Mm-hmm. And then the following Saturday is my second annual Youth Fishing Derby at the Young Township Park.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Yeah, some fun things for the community. They're all free. You can find out more on our website, repstruzzi.com, or on our Facebook page, which is the same moniker.
Yeah. Okay, so these hearings are going to wrap up, and then you'll be able to get actually back here into the district and maybe see your family for once. I'm sure you're looking forward to getting back here. And events like that are really important because it gives you a chance to touch base with folks.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be great to be back in the district, to meet with people, catch up on things. I have a tremendous staff that's been maintaining the district offices very well. They keep me informed of everything that's happening, but it's been a great 3 weeks. I think we've had some really good hearings, and I'm really looking forward to moving forward in the budget process.
Is this going to be a little bit bombastic with the budget office today?
You never know, Todd.
But you're ready to go if it becomes that way, yes?
Well, you see a lot of these departments basically punt to the budget secretary. When you ask them, why did you allocate this much money, or why are you doing this? They're like, well, we weren't really involved. The budget secretary set the number for our budget. So it kind of all wraps up with the secretary this afternoon.
So they kicked the can down the road to him. Now he has the can.
Yeah, exactly. And we got to hold him to the fire.
He's got no one else to give that can to. Well, maybe we'll get some real answers here today. Representative Jim Struzzi, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you, Todd. Have a great day.
You too. There he is, Representative Jim Struzzi. Final day of budget hearings today in Harrisburg, and I think the Senate wraps up today as well, or if they didn't on Monday or yesterday. I think maybe they did yesterday.